Hello everybody, Dave Kuda, the wine guy here, coming to you from the tasting corner here at Kuda Coffee. So today we're going to talk about one of my favorite wine subjects, and that's bubbles, or sparkling wines. So a few years ago I was fortunate enough to travel to Paris, France, and do some in-depth studying both in the villages of Reims and Epinay. So these two villages are where all of the Tête de Cuvée, Grand Cuvée champagne comes from, like Perrier-Jouet or Dom Perignon, or all of the greatest champagnes in the world come from Epinay and Reims. So while I was there, I learned to enjoy champagne quite a bit, and when I got home I was pretty heartbroken to find that there's really no way I would be able to afford to drink champagne, at least not on a regular basis. So I had to look for some alternatives that I could afford. And what I found was a wonderful world out there filled with beautiful Proseccos and Spanish Cavas and sparkling wines from California. So there are some great alternatives, but really when it's a special occasion and you really want to do something special, it's really hard to beat the true champagnes from France. So just real quick, we should only refer to a sparkling wine as a champagne if it comes from Champagne, France. Otherwise, we should just call it a sparkling wine. So today we're going to taste the Cava Brut. So this is Casteller Cava from Spain. And this is their Brut style, meaning they're dry. But again, as I had mentioned, there are other alternatives from Italy. There's Prosecco, and there are also some really nice California sparkling wine producers as well. So we'll jump into the Cava again. I said it was a Brut. So when you look at the world of champagne, Brut is actually a measurement of sweetness, and Brut really means dry. So I'm just going to go over real quick. The sweetest of champagnes are usually called demi-sec or sec. These are French terms that, again, indicate the sweetness of a sparkling wine. So we start with demi-sec or sec are the sweetest. Then we get into extra dry, which is actually a hint dry. It's a little bit of a contradiction, but extra dry actually means a hint sweet. Brut would mean dry, and then in today's world we're seeing a lot of sparkling wines that are labeled extra Brut, meaning, of course, very dry. So that's kind of the measurement of sweetness. Most of what we enjoy here at Kuda Coffee, and most of what we enjoy around here, are either Brut or extra dry, so fairly dry. And you know, to me that's just sort of keeping that refreshment and the vibrance. As we get a little too sweet, to me it takes some of the refreshments and vibrance away. So we're going to jump in and taste one of my favorite sparkling wines. This is the Cava Brut. This is available here every day at Kuda Coffee for $12 a bottle. It's really an amazing deal for such a beautiful Cava. So we get it in a glass. Now we talked last week a little bit about tasting wine and swirling and all of the steps we go through to taste a still wine. When we taste a sparkling wine, it's a little bit of a different process. So first of all, we're not going to swirl the wine. The other thing you're going to notice is that I'm using this flute. We call this a champagne flute. And this is ideally what you want to use for sparkling wine. So this glass actually serves the opposite purpose that the big bowl glass serves. With this glass, what we're trying to do is trap as much of the air in the wine as possible, hence keeping those bubbles. The bubbles in a glass of sparkling wine are very precious, and we want to try to preserve those bubbles, and that's really what the shape of this glass does. The other nice thing it does is that it really takes the bouquet as you sip. It takes the bouquet and really focuses it to the top of the glass. So as we get started with this sparkling wine, we look at the bubbles. We see nice tiny little bubbles quickly flowing to the top, which is really what we want to see when we look at a sparkling wine. We see a nice vibrant straw color. And we get it on the nose. On the nose we get beautiful fresh green apples, little hints of citrus, and just a little bit of a nice toasty yeastiness. As we taste it, again with those crisp citrus notes, a little bit of lime, finishes with just a hint of sweetness. One of the things I love about sparkling wines is that they're really versatile. They go with just about anything. You can pair them up with appetizers, like seafood dishes. You can have sparkling wine with a steak dinner. You can have it with the richest desserts. They just work all the way around. And of course, many people enjoy sparkling wine with brunch. Add a little bit of orange juice, and we have a wonderful mimosa. So, at any rate, sparkling wines, bubbles, one of my favorite wine categories, and really fit well into that spring, light, refreshing wine category. So, be sure to join us this week. We'll be tasting many spring selections, including the Cava and the Prosecco, and we'll be finishing the week off for this Friday night from 5 to 9 p.m. Be sure to join us here at Cuda Coffee, where we'll be tasting many spring selections and enjoying the Cava Brut. Thank you very much. We'll look forward to seeing you there.